Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Angela Brennan and today I'm bringing you Spellbinders Lisa Horton Essential Holiday Collection. It's a group of batter press plates as well as die sets that I use here. So obviously with batter press plates, I'm always going to hot foil them. In fact, it does state on the packaging itself on the top left hand corner that these batter press plates, they hot foil beautifully. And when it says that, you've got to hot foil them and give it a go. I always feel you get a 2-for-1 with your product when it comes to batter press plates where you can hot foil them as well. So here is a nice circular set of sentiments which I've used in previous videos as well, but this is where I hot foil them, and I did this a little while ago when my foil press machine was working. So what I tend to do is when I have the foil press machine working, I use lots and lots of time to do all kinds of hot foiling, and that includes batter press plates as well. Here I'm using the hinge method and using the Aura hot foil to do some hot foiling with the batter press plates, which is going to be nice and easy to create a whole load of sentiments that can be die cut together and stored for use later on. I do the hot foiling, but I also do some negative hot foiling. So when I do these kind of hot foils, I tend to store them into a little plastic packet so I know which batter press plate or glimmer plate and what hot foils I use. So it's nice and easy to do that. I use the coordinating die and I will die cut all of these images at the same time. The rectangle where the sentiments are removed from can be used as well, but I don't think of it at that time. When I'm editing the video, I think about it. Here are 3 additional dies that come with the Festive Circle Sentiments batter press plate. I die cut each of those shapes on different colored cardstock, and the purpose is to use it as a matting or a backing to the circular sentiments. You can use the circular sentiments on its own, or you can back it or use it as a mat with these colored die cuts. Totally up to you, and it can be quite flexible. And I use these backings shapes when I want it to pop, or if I want to use it to give it a little bit of an additional subtle color to the composition. And I tend to use a dimensional tape to let the sentiments pop. So I do loads and loads of these, so it's easy for me to have them available when I'm making cards. And here are 2 different solid glimmer plates that can be used for negative hot foiling. The Spellbinders Essential Glimmer Solid Rectangle measures 3/1/8 of an inch by 4/3/8 of an inch, whereas the Catherine Pooler Large Rectangle Hot Foil Plate, which is the one in the teal color, measures 4.5 inches by 5 3/4 inches. So when I'm doing lots of hot foiling or negative hot foiling, I tend to use the larger rectangle hot foil plate for that purpose. However, the smaller Essential Glimmer Solid Rectangle from Spellbinders has other purposes. If you want to negative hot foil a certain image that is smaller, sometimes when you negative hot foil, it would need a couple of rounds to go. And I do use this foil press machine. I do put it on a higher setting and I do put it for 30 seconds. And I can always put it again. It's not a problem. So when you negative hot foil, you remove the plastic on top of it, and if it comes out clear, you know all the hot foil's been transferred. And I've done loads, as you've seen. Now the next one here is the holiday background panel. It's also press plates. It's 4 rectangle press plates, and I do hot foiling with these press plates as well. And it does say so that it hot foils beautifully on the packaging. I think most of the press plates it says that, but sometimes if it doesn't say that, perhaps it doesn't hot foil as beautifully, maybe because the pattern's a bit too intricate. So you can gauge yourself. But sometimes when it says that, I try hot foiling anyway and I like it. So it really depends on you. Do always give it a try when it comes to press plates. Hot foil them and see if they turn out the way you want to. I tried putting all 4 rectangles together. It doesn't work because my platform is not big enough. So I hot foil 2 press plates at a time, and it does hot foil very, very nicely. I do quite a few versions of this, and I also do negative hot foiling. Later on in the video, you'll see me use all 4 panels on one card, and yes, it does make a rather large card, an unconventional size card. And I'm not afraid to make cards of unconventional sizes because I do make coordinating envelopes with it. So you'll see me make the coordinating envelope for those unusual size cards using an envelope punch board, which I show you how I use later on in the video. So here I continue doing lots of various hot foils, and I hot foil the backgrounds with many different hot foil colors that I have. I like trying different hot foils. Now, most of the hot foils seem to work with the default setting, which is medium setting at 24 seconds, but sometimes it may need a second round, and that's why using the hinge method comes in really handy. Like this silver foil here, I had to put it in the second time so it has a full coverage when it comes to hot foiling, and using the hinge method allowed me to do it again without wasting the card as well as the hot foil. And here are all the different colors that I've used to do hot foiling, and I go on to continue doing a whole load of hot foiling with different colors as well as hot foiling, negative hot foiling. I use the coordinating die from the nested tree frame set, and I cut them all out into rectangles. This is the nested tree frame set. It's mainly sets of frames, but it's also got a Christmas tree that goes with it, and I'll show you how I make these trees. In fact, I make loads and loads of them because I do like it very much. I end up making quite a few cards using these Christmas trees with various colors. These various colored cards, or rather gradations and hues of the same color, I use the memory box collection. I've got quite a few of those, and I use that. I can't seem to find them, but if you use any cardstock where you get a set of it with different hues or gradations of the same color, I like the look of that when it comes to putting this tree together. It's relatively simple. There's not too many components to this Christmas tree. So I'm just adding the snow, or rather the snow that kind of sits at each layer of the tree. There's two elements to it that they've given. You can either use it as a snow, and there's another die later on you'll see you can use it as a tinsel or a decoration on the tree. It's really up to you. But I do use this for all of the cards because I just like the look of this better. Having this Crystal Katana media picker tool is really handy when it comes to putting all these die cuts together. They just make the job a lot easier. I do create a few cards here that I use this Christmas tree, but I do create quite a few cards. I'm not going to show you the creation of all of them, but you get the idea of it. But once you get these components ready, you can create a whole load of cards. Another set I use here is also like a Christmas pudding. I think it's called Festive Ornaments, so it can do Christmas pudding as well as ornaments, and you'll see me use them all on one card. I like making bigger cards than A2 cards or A6 cards because I find them nice to do bigger cards, especially here in the UK. They tend to give quite big cards sometimes, especially to family members. So I'm going to make a few bigger cards in this video so you can see how you don't have to stick to the conventional size of cards, but rather you can make bigger cards and then create your own envelopes. So the second die set here, you'll see me use it. So you can put it in the middle, and you can use a glitter card as well to make it look like it's tinsels. And the dots that come with the die set, now you can use that again with different colors and put it as little baubles decoration onto the Christmas tree itself. So a rather simple assembly of this Christmas tree with a couple of options. I do skip the little dots, that is the baubles, for my creations, as well as using these decorative strips. I use the snowdrifts on each of the layers of the Christmas tree because I just like the way it looks, and it's a personal preference as well on how you want to put together or assemble your dies. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And when you do subscribe, remember to press that notification bell so you're alerted when new videos are uploaded. I do loads of Spellbinders videos, club kits, as well as the regular releases that come out from Spellbinders every month. I might be a little late with some of these releases because I do prioritize the Spellbinders club kit videos, and I like to have them out quite quickly as I can, barring all the things that happen in daily life and get caught up in work and all of that stuff. And I know it's the same for most of you, and sometimes your Spellbinders club kits may not even be used in the same month. To make that easy, what I've done is I've compiled all the Spellbinders club kits that I've created for the month in one playlist, so it's easier to access, and you can find that on my YouTube channel. I'm going to place all 9 die cuts of the Christmas tree on this card front that I've just splattered with some metallic gold watercolor. To find the center, I've just done a crisscross from corner to corner. And once I've done the center and I've done the middle line, it's easier to place the other cards. That's how I tend to put die cuts or images when I want to cover the card front. I like doing a lot of splatters, and you'll see me do a lot of splatters on the cards in this video. And the thing about splatters is you need to ensure you get the right consistency of that medium that you're splattering, as well as the right paintbrush size. The bigger the paintbrush, the bigger the splatter, but the thicker the medium that you're splattering, the smaller the splatter size. So this splattering, you want to get some practice in so you get the right size splatters on your projects. This hot foil sentiment is from the Spellbinders Club Kit Better Press of the Month from October 2024. As I've told you, I do a lot of hot foiling, and I have a lot of these sentiments left that I can use on future projects, especially since it was a Christmas themed club kit in October 2024. I did do lots and lots of these sentiments that you'll see me use in quite a few of the cards in this video as well. I just kept it quite simple. Then I'm going to back it up with some foam sheet and put it onto the card base. And the card base is an A6 card, which measures 14.8 centimeters by 10.5 centimeters. And this is a common card size in the UK. For the next card, I'm using the same Christmas tree die, and I do various die cuts with different colors. But for the sentiment, I'm using the hot foil sentiment from the Festive Circle sentiment. You'd have seen me hot foil these sentiments at the start of this video, and I'm just thinking which color to use, whether it's going to be the white, the black, or the silver, and I end up going with the silver just for some variation. I would have liked to done many more versions of this card because I do like that Christmas tree die, but I'm going to move on and use the other dies as well. So this is the frame that comes with the nested tree frame die set. I'm attaching the scalloped frame and the rectangle die together because I want to die cut the scalloped frame without a center, without the middle portion, and I will put a different colored cardstock where I'm putting that rectangle in the center of the scalloped frame. Hope that makes sense. And here I have the metallic silver frame on its own without the center, and I remove all the little dots in the frame because I want it to have another color come through, and I die cut this frame in black the same way, but I'm going to preserve all the dots in the frame by putting some double-sided tape while it is still in the die, so it keeps all the dots together. So this way, when I put that metallic silver frame on it, you will see all the black dots come through. Most of the dots remain on the frame as I remove it from the die, and the few that's remaining that's not there, I just add it on later on. So now I'm going to put some liquid glue onto the silver die cut and place it onto the black die cut, and then you'll have a frame that comes through with some black dots. I just wanted to keep the frame neutral because I have got quite a few colorful die cuts of the Christmas tree there. So you can use this frame quite differently, whereas you can have quite a colorful frame, whereas you can put lots of different colored dots and have a neutral image in the center, or do it the other way around as I've done it here. So many variations that can be done with this frame, and I hope you give that a go because it is quite interesting to do so. You can even do that frame and just put a sentiment die cut. Don't have to do too much with it because the frame itself is quite decorative. Here I'm putting quite a neutral color in the center, the rectangle center, as well, as I said, because I wanted the Christmas tree, the colorful Christmas tree, to be the main focus of the card. So I'm attaching the middle as well, and I used dimensional tape, quite a thin dimensional tape, which is I think only 1 millimeter, because I just want a slight pop. And again, this is the hot foil sentiment from the Better Press of the Month from October 2024 Spellbinders Club Kits. I do use quite a few of those in these cards. And here what I'm doing is I'm using that rectangle die to die cut all of that holiday background panel, whether it is a positive hot foil as well as the negative hot foil, and I go on to put them into various cards, whether on its own, 2 of the panels, or even sometimes 4 of the panels. And I'm going to start off by doing this very large card. The panels, the 4 panels together, arranged by the 2x2 arrangement as I'm doing here. I'm just securing it with some sticky tape on the back of it before I put some double-sided tape to attach it onto the card base. Every so often, I like the creativity of the panels or the dimensions that I'm using to lead me to the size of the card. So sometimes I'm always thinking it's going to be an A6 card or an A2 card, an A7 card. How do I fit it in? So here I'm letting the panel sizes of those rectangles drive it. This sentiment is from the Glimmer of the Month Spellbinders Club Kit from October 2024, which I've done previously. I will talk about the dimensions of the card and how to make the envelope later on in the video. This dies here, or die cuts rather, is from the Festive ornament set where you can make a Christmas pudding and a couple of other ornaments as well. And I do use all of them on this card. I put each one on the 4 panels and I end up using one of the panels to use the sentiment, and the sentiment will be from the Festive circle sentiment. I do like ornamental images on cards. I don't do too many here, but I do. This particular card, I use all components from the Festive ornament set to create the card. So you can see me put that circle together, and I do create quite a few layers. I like to have dimension. Even that pudding there, if you see where the cream comes on, I do put a couple of layers, and you'll see me use different color combinations on that Christmas pudding later on in the video as well. For this ornament that I'm die cutting, you can use the positive or negative die cut. I choose to use the positive die cut, but you can use the negative die cut on the ornament as well and create a different ornament. There you go, that's a negative version and this is the positive version. It's totally up to you, and I do put quite a few layers. I like having a small die cutting machine that you can die cut small elements, and Spellbinders has come up with the small version of it. It's so adorable. So if you want to check it out, and if you don't have one, it's something to check out. But I already had the mini blossom from Orton, and I just couldn't justify the cost of buying another small die cutting machine. But if I were to need a new one, I definitely go for that because it's got a nice decorative image on it as well. And we like having pretty things in our craft spaces, don't we? So I layer up the various layers of this ornament and I place it onto the gold circle. As you can see, if you see, I'm trying to keep the colors of these cards quite to a minimum. So I've got my red, teal and gold, and I'm sticking within those colors, and that's why you've got all the various ornaments, puddings and all with that similar color. And this is a different ornament with circles on it, and here I'm using the background of the red metallic circle, and then I'm just going to put a little topper for each of the ornaments later on. Here's the pudding. I'm just assembling the Christmas pudding. Very simple assembly. All of the dies that I've used in this video here, all of the assembly is very simple. So the focus is really on the background. And when it comes to having better press plates, my videos tend to be longer because I'm always hot foiling those better press plates, and then later on I show you how I letter press them as well with the better press machine. So that's why I tend to have longer videos, and I hope you'll bear with me with regards to those longer videos. I do try to keep my videos short, but when there's so much to show with hot foiling and letter pressing, I just can't help it. So let me know what you think of these longer videos, or maybe I should not show hot foiling and letter pressing. Maybe it's too much. I don't know. I would love to get some feedback from you. Let me know. Yeah, I struggle to see where to put each of this, and I do put it on and take it out so you can see some damage to some of the panels, but I'm not really worried because I'm covering it up anyway with one of the circles. So you've got the Christmas pudding, the 2 ornaments, and you've got the sentiment here that I've put, and I'm trying to make sure they don't clash with the background, which is why I am trying to make sure that they are placed in the right panel. And I'm just putting the Merry Christmas sentiment in the middle, keeping this card really simple because there's so much of shine and the panels are quite large, so I don't want to overcrowd the card. And here I'm doing another card here. I've got a dark blue on the front, and here I intend to put a different color in the middle of the panel, but I'm assembling the card, I forget. But when you see it towards the end of the video, I do rectify that. So I meant to put a metallic silver rectangle inside the frame, but I forget and I start assembling the panel here. But no worries, I always rectify it in the end. I look at the final version, I'm not too happy about it, so I do end up removing these die cuts and putting that silver card in the middle before I complete the card, so before I finish off the video, so you'll see the different version of it towards the end of the video. Again, this sentiment is from the Spellbinders Club Kit, Better Press of the Month, October 2024. I have loads of these, and it comes in really handy when I have the sentiments ready when I'm creating cards, and that's why I have lots of them available, and I do put them in various packets. Here's a different version. I am going to be using two of those panels. I'm using the negative hot foiled star background and the positive hot foiled star background to create one card. So because I am going to be putting them together, I do at the bottom of this panel here, I just tie a little bit of string. So this is going to be onto an A7 card. An A7 card measures 5 inches by 7 inches. And this gold mat, or this smaller gold base that I'm going to put onto that A7 card, measures 4 inches by 6 inches. So they're just an inch shorter on the length and the width to the base card. So I just tie a little bit of string here and put a little bow. So it's a little bit fiddly sometimes. So to keep that fiddliness to the minimum, I'm putting a bit of tape at the behind of that card to keep the threads in line so that I can tie that bow. And I end up tying the bow on the left hand side of that bottom bit of that panel. Simple card once you've got all these elements ready. So I'm just going to put those 3 festive circle sentiments, so very merry, joy and blessing, and Merry Christmas, onto 3 parts of the card, and then assemble or attach this panel onto the card base. Simple. As I like to keep some of these cards simple. They do not have to get too busy, because as I said, when you do hot foiling, the shine and sparkle from those hot foils will really make the card. It really makes the card look really sparkly and elegant, in my view anyway. Let me know what you think. Again, these 3 circular sentiments, I have put some dimensional tape on it, so it has a slight pop. I didn't want to put too much of it because those rectangle panels on that gold base card panel is already on some foam sheet behind it, so I didn't want too much of a bulk, just a slight bit, and there you go, the card is completed. Let me know what you think of these kind of simpler cards that I make. I think it looks pretty. Here is a slimline card. I've not made a slimline card in ages. So the slimline card measures 3.5 inches by 8.5 inches. So the blue card panel, which I've put some white splatters on it, measures 2 3/4 of an inch by 7 3/4 of an inch. So I've just given it a bit of a reduction of that dark blue panel by 3/4 of an inch for each side, the width and the length. And I'm arranging the 3 puddings here with slightly different colored puddings. The browns are slightly different hues, and I'm going to put the joy and blessings from the festive circle sentiments there. The card's done. I like to keep it quite simple, and I don't have any slimline envelopes. I make that later on as well. I don't show all the envelopes, but you get the concept of what I'm trying to say later on when I show you how I make the envelopes. And here is the foil resist technique. So this means that the inks will resist where those foil dots are. So later on when I finish doing my ink blending, I will just wipe that ink on the foiled areas with a dry cloth, and they will shine through, and you'll have an ink blended background. Per usual, when you do ink blending, you need key components. You make sure you've got the right card, and I've got this ink blending done on the Hammermill card, which is great for ink blending, domed foams and juicy ink pads. All those components available, and you can do some pretty good ink blending. Here I'm removing all that ink onto the fold areas with a dry cloth and placing that onto a card, A6 card with some foam sheet behind it, just quite a thin one. And using a tea ruler is always great to make sure you've got your panels, your sentiments all straight and nice on the card that you want to place it on. I'm going to put that tiny Christmas tree, which has got blue hues on it. I've got a bit of dimensional tape. I'm going to put that in the middle, and I'm going to place that festive circle sentiment with a bit of a scalloped mat there. Simple card again. So once you've all the components ready, and it takes time to get all these components ready when you're hot foiling, etc. But then when you put the card together, it's a lot easier. I do like this foil resist technique primarily because I like ink blending. and I had to resist, pun not intended, from doing more of them. I just wanted to get on with the rest of the cards. If not, this video will be way too long. And here I'm making another custom size card. I'm making the width of the card the width of that rectangle holiday background panel. So the width of that is 3/3 of an inch. So it's quite an unusual size. This card measures 3/3 of an inch by 8/316 of an inch. So you can imagine trying to make an envelope for this. You'll see what I mean later on. But it's just, I liked to keep the entire panel. I didn't want to cut it down, but I wanted it to be the width of the card. So it's quite a long card as well. I could have left the top and the bottom empty or even cut the card down, but I decided to keep that and put the negative hot foil color of each of those panels on either side. So you'll see me just do that. You know, I just think it's fine to just create different size cards, not just shaped cards. I mean, you can do square or rectangle cards that fit your needs. In fact, one of the things I'm doing with my Spellbinders club kits, when I show you all of the cards and I release the playlist, I also show you how I create a card. It's going to be probably a many multifold card or a bigger card or a larger card where I'm going to use all of the Spellbinders kits, all 10 of them in one card. For this year, I don't think I'll receive all of 10 of them. But from next year onwards, I'll be receiving all 10 of the Spellbinders club kits. But this year, whatever, I think I'll receive usually 8 or 9, and I'll use all of those components into one card. It's kind of fun to think about how that will turn out. This is another card. After I assemble it, I think the Christmas trees and the background, it's all just too much, too busy. So towards the end of the video, you'll see how I remove these Christmas trees and put white Christmas trees instead, because I think it's less obtrusive to that snowflake background. It's me. I don't know. I think it looks okay at one point, and then I think it looks too busy. So I do change it up later on. And here I'm going to use the holiday background panel press plates to do letter pressing. So when it comes to letter pressing, one of the inks that's really good with letter pressing, I find, besides the Better Press ink, is the VersaFine Clear ink. So VersaFine Clear recently released 12 new colors, and I've got them. I do like VersaFine Clear ink. I like them for general stamping, but I also especially like them for letter pressing. I don't have as many colors of Better Press inks, but I think this is a great substitute from the ink pads that I have. The VersaFine Clear comes in really well, and I place a couple of different colors and I blend it with a brush in between so that it doesn't get too stark between the color variations. I want it to be quite smooth, and I use various blue inks on these two panels, and I do like how that turned out. You'll see the final cards that I'll create with these panels later on in the video. I'm glad that I had done the hot foiling with these holiday background panels much earlier before my foil press machine got spoiled. If not, I wouldn't have had a chance. So I did tell you a little while ago I sent my foil press machine back to Crafter's Companion. Now I lately got feedback telling me that I'll need to wait at least 2 months, if not 3 months, for them to let me know whether they can get the right part to repair my foil press machine. Which is a bit of a bummer because I can't be without my foil press machine for 3 months or 2 months. I need to start getting my projects out. So I've just ordered the Spellbinders Glimmer machine, and you'll see me use that in videos going forward, especially for the November Spellbinders Club kits. Now, anytime I get a new machine, it takes me a little while to get used to it. So I'll need to do some experimentation, and probably you'll see me do some of that in future videos. This is the Essential Tag Accessories press plates and dies, and it goes well with that Essential Tags die set. I didn't have this before my foil press machine got spoiled, which means I can only do letter pressing with this set. And I show you how I letter press some of these to create tags. And I'm using that tag there as a guide to see where to place the ho 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 sentiment. So it's just about making sure how it fits into that tag. Here I'm using the backing, or rather it's a non-porous backing of a double-sided adhesive, so I can easily wipe off that ink once I've inked those plates. I don't ink these press plates on the chase itself because then I need to clean the ink, and it's better press ink and it's a little bit harder to clean because you need archival ink cleaner for that. This way I can just use my damp stamp chamois to clean the ink on that non-porous paper, which is the backing from an adhesive sheet. Just do keep those double-sided adhesive sheet backings, or even any backing from other sheets that you use, and it comes in really handy. Or you can even use plastic, as long as you cover the chase and you apply your ink and then take the press plate and put it onto the chase later after inking it. It just makes the whole process easier for me anyway. I just don't like cleaning my chase so many times. So here, this particular one, I need to ink that little corner of that pine, and then I will after that place the other sentiment on it. So you need to do it twice here because you can't put it all together. So there'll be an overlap of that sentiment on that pine in the corner. And I use a couple of different Better Press inks just to give it a little bit of gradation of color. You can't really see it come through, but here I'm going to be inking the other sentiment here. Do not open until the 25th. Here are all of the swatches of the VersaFine colors. I've got all 36 colors, and I'm going to use the Glamorous VersaFine Clair ink to do that the sentiment that's going to go on this tag. So here I'm going to be placing it so I know exactly where to place the sentiment, and then I can remove the pine element of it. It just keeps it all nice and within that tag. That I want to be able to die cut that sentiment and that background within that tag itself. There you go. So you got do not open until the 25th, overlapping the pine slightly, and here are the other elements that I have used with that set as well. So I'm going to use various size tags to die cut all of these, and then you'll see me assemble these tags together with the Essential Tags dies. I showed some of this in a previous video as well, but here is more of it, I suppose, because I didn't receive that Essential Tag accessories, just lately received it, so I decided to include that in this video as well. I don't do any coloring or anything with these tags. I keep the tags really simple. I do die cut another tag behind it in white card because I think that's where I'm going to write the message. So I'm going to use my Japanese screw punch to put a little circle at the top so I can put all of this together with a string. The die set Essential Tags comes with a tiny circle, but I just find it too tiresome to put those tiny circles a gazillion times. So I'm just using the Japanese screw punch and creating these holes at the top of the tag, and I'm going to assemble or keep them all together with a string. I've got two slim tags there, one with a sentiment and one is plain, so I can write the name. So I can write the name in the slim tag and I can write a message in the larger tag behind. And I keep the string a little bit longer so you can tie it to the gift or tie it to the bowl, or indeed if you're giving them a bottle of wine, you can tie it to the neck of the bottle. Here I'm measuring the card out to create a custom envelope. I've got all the dimensions on the screen, so I'm looking at the envelope punch board and I'm going to see what is the closest size to this card to create an envelope, and it's an A8 size card. So I've got lots of 12 by 12 pattern paper and I cut it down to a 10/5/8 of an inch square, and I'm just following the guide. So the guide says you score it at 4¼ inches. That's the measurement on the top left there. So you only need to follow that guide for the first score. So you just need to measure the score line once, and then subsequently you're just following the score guideline. I've got a separate video where I show you how I use the envelope punch board, and I'll link that in the description below if you're interested, because I really use this when I make cards of an unusual size. So I don't really have many envelopes. I only have envelopes for A2, A6 and A7. Anything else I tend to have to make my own card. Or I've got a few square inch envelopes, I think 4 square and 5-inch cards, etc. But generally if it comes to custom sized envelopes, I have to create them. And this envelope punch board has been a great investment because I've made some unusual size cards, which I make these cards based on my creativity, and I'm not limited by the size of cards available in the market. and it's easy enough to do. And whenever there's a sale on pattern paper, 12 by 12 pattern paper, I'm in there because I know I'm going to use them to make these envelopes. When adhering the flaps to create the envelope itself, I use liquid glue. But for the top flap to seal the envelope, I use double-sided tape. There is specialist envelope glue, etc. I mean, I'm not got any of that available in my craft stash, so I'm just using what I have. This liquid glue, just put it very lightly. You don't want to saturate the paper and create folds in the paper. Keep it really light because it's just an envelope, it's not heavy use. And for the final flap here, I'm just using very thin double-sided tape because you just need to remove that top layer and then seal the envelope. I just wanted to keep it easy from that perspective when the card is going to be used. So the envelope is ready. So when I want to send this card out, it's easy enough to do. And here is a slimline card. I don't have slimline envelopes, so I made that as well. And this is the other custom made size envelope. So all these cards are not the common size cards that I make. So I don't have envelopes to go, and the envelope punch board maker is a lifesaver. Here are all the cards that I've created. Lots of Christmas tree around because I like the Christmas tree die, and I did a lot of compilations. I like that colorful look of it, and having all the sentiments available and ready, either it's die cut or hot foil, mostly hot foiled. I do like hot foil sentiments, which is why I create lots of them. And here's the card where I went back and included that panel in the center of the frame, metallic silver panel. I think it looks better. Let me know what you think. I'd love to get your feedback on all of the cards I've created and whether the video is too long. Should I show you hot foiling and letterpressing, or should I choose one or the other? Let me know. I'd love to get some feedback on that as well as on the cards that I've created. Here I've created another card here. I've used that balance panel of the negative hot foil snowflakes and created that card. And this card here, you see on the left there, I've put what I've done, the colorful Christmas trees. I've changed it to the white Christmas trees. I'm not too sure that this goes as well. Anyway, I'm done with it. So I've done the card. I'm not changing it anymore. But let me know what you think. And this is the card where I created the envelope earlier. These are the 3 large cards that I created. And I like the idea of having different sized cards. And I like the simplicity that goes with these cards. Not much technique. Basically just the hot foil, sentiments, die cutting. These are the kind of cards you can put together quite easily. For this card, I used that negative hot foil panel from Teal behind, but I also did that star bright stencil with some glimmer paste in the background. It's very subtle, but I liked that. So these are the panels where I did some letter pressing of that holiday background panel, and I did lots of ink blending. I liked the ink blending in the background with one simple sentiment and lots of splatters as well. I do like using splatters, and splatters, once I learned to control the consistency of the medium as well as use the right paintbrush size, I think splatters really go. Here are all the tags that I created, a whole load of them. It's easy to mass produce these tags. I think I've got more than enough tags. If you've seen my last few videos, I have used the Essential Tags die set and created quite a few tags with some of the negative hot foils as well. Here are close-up pictures of all the cards I've created. I would really love your feedback on all of these cards, and thank you so much for staying on till the end of the video. I really appreciate feedback. I really appreciate you stopping by and checking out my videos. I've got all the links in the description below for your ease of reference. Happy crafting when you get your products, or you can use these techniques with any products you have in your craft stash. And I know you've got lots of products that you haven't used before. We all do. That's what we like to do as crafters, get stuff and then think when we can use it. Life does get in the way, work especially, and family. So craft when you get the time, enjoy it, and I hope all of these videos that I put out are inspirational. Happy crafting, and I'll catch you at my next video. Do take care.